Electronics again, and I'm the maker of the Nerdsack Eurorack sequencer with the tracker style user interface, as you can see on the screens. I will not explain how the Nerdsack works, because that's already covered a lot of times and stuff. So I just show some new stuff which is really interesting. Some missing point was always the performance thing. And I think I built some new stuff which makes it very flexible to perform in new ways in different styles. Plus, it gives more. I missed the word. However, it's very simple. So I added a kind of a mapping screen, or it's called mapping screen. And it's in the simplest use, it's you map a source to a destination. And in my case, I have the fader box, which is connected via I2C at this moment, but it can be MIDI, it can be CV input, or it can be any parameter or thing within the sequencer, so it doesn't matter what the source is. And so with this here, I have the fader connected, and it changes the values. And for here, I have the drums, and I can use the fader to fill in the Euclidean sequence. So, another thing is, for example, if I go down here, I have like the same fader box, but then different faders, and I use them to change notes in the sequence. So, if I go here, in this part, let's go there. I have now an empty sequence, and I can. So I changed with the eight faders, and it can be up to 64 actually, so you can have the whole sequence, and you can connect 4 of these fader boxes. And you can change the sequence. The fader completely down would be no note, and the rest is there. I add some drums, and I enable some scaling. Go to pentatonic. And again the drums. So that's one new part, so very easy, and I will load another project in a second. So, and I have the same mapping again, and with this mapping I can also write off some kind of code. So actually, if there's a function missing in the sequence or you want to do something special, you can just code it yourself in there. And if you can't code, it doesn't really matter, because you can import, export this stuff, and on the forum, if someone probably requests, hey, can someone do this and this? And then there would be probably someone who does this and this and can put it on the forum, and it will be a lot of stuff. So me, for myself, I implemented now 2 different functions. And one is a bouncing ball. So you know that, and I can just execute it. So, a simple bouncing ball, and in the mapping it's like the first lines up to there, and I have like a different counters running, and the counters going really faster with each bounce until it stops again. So a simple algorithm which is running, and you can execute it from the sequence. You can involve it in the sequence somehow, that you can change the parameters and variables. So we have also a set of variables that you can use within the coding. And another function I have someone asked me, hey, can you add a Turing machine in the thing? You know, all the Turing machine? And I actually didn't, knew it, but I didn't know exactly what it does. So I checked it up, and I could completely implement it also in this coding part. And so that's what I did. Here on the right side, you see actually the sequence. I go in there and have like four faders connected. And one fader is to set the bits. One is to reset the bits. One will flip the bits. And one will do just a random thing. So when I use the fader, you see on the right like the Turing machine running. You can see it, yeah, slightly. So let's add some drums also here. And also add scaling here because it's because Turing machine is not really scaled normally, and then the sound's always better. So it can just generate sequences by itself, and if I do the random thing, it will be always a different sequence. And I keep it like this, and it stays with it. So the Turing machine can work up to 12 bits, from 1 to 12 bits. And in the mapping code, it's a bit more complicated, actually, how it's implemented. So I have like a setup that it only works when the clock is running and things, and I connected it to the clock, so it's synchronized with the sequence. And here I have like a simple thing like the CV input, and this is used to set the bits. And then I have like different calculations and things, and this is like a bitwise OR, and I just add the bit with an OR function, logical function. Yeah, and these are like, for example, these are they show the sequence on the trigger expander. Just a simple thing, so it's visually also quite nice. It does also trigger these parts, so you could use it as well. Yeah, so there's a lot more with that, and I think this can be a really big thing with the coding, because you could just do what you think, like, oh, this is cool, I want to do it, and it's probably possible. So and also the coding involves like if-then things and everything you can imagine with arithmetic stuff, and then you can use all parameters in a NerdSec to feed the coding, and you can execute it on every parameter. Doesn't matter what, the CV outputs, internally, the probability, or whatever. So, yeah. So I think that can be quite a nice thing. And then the most easy thing, use a fader box and change the parameters, or a MIDI box or whatever. So, yeah. That's really short what it is, and there will be soon. There will be the new firmware with the new expander for MIDI and I2C and things, and then it really makes sense to in the bigger view for the thing, and then there will be deeper explanations, and I will probably do some more patches to integrate there and to explain exactly what they do, because yeah. And I'm learning myself as well with that, so it's like learning a new programming language. Even I made it myself. You have to get used to it to get used to the kind of coding. But it can be also kind of live coding, so you just change stuff on the fly and get the effect there, or get the result that it doesn't work anymore. And but that's just what it is. So yeah, that's basically it for now. There's a lot more, but that's it. Okay.
we on? Perfect. Hello. We're making sound machines from Düsseldorf in Germany. We make modules. We make the Stoppelbeats, it's a drum sequencer. We make the Farb folder, Farb shaper, which are DIY kits. So Enrica will build one while we speak. It's a very simple module to put together. It comes with 2 PCBs. The stuff is pre-assembled. And I will just play you some beats and walk you through the modules maybe. So what I've set up here is Stoppelbeats, and it's sending MIDI to the Electron model samples. The sounds you hear are for the model samples. The sequence you hear is from the Stoppelbeats, and I can then change patterns on it and mute, unmute stuff. And I have set up this to sync, this is not Rocket Science Tuesday, and that is playing notes into the Befaco, even VCO, and also going into our filters and folders here. These are our favorite designs from West Coast synthesis. The folder has a very nice bias offset, so if you send CD and it starts talking. And if you add CD to the fold, you will get the offset and on the fold jack in. This is the Farb shaper. It's 2 shapers in series, and with CD on every one of them. So sending in a gate now. It's a very funky patch. So from the VCO, we just get a triangle, and you see how much live we can get by already folding the wave twice. It's a very lovely way, like almost the opposite of a filter, to get like cool overtones. How far is Enrica? Enrica is screwing on the front panel. It's a speed build. Okay, let's move on to the filters. So this is a ladder low-pass filter with gain. It's got a lot of drive. and the good smoke of solder coming over here, I think we could get this done in speed soldering fashion. Finally, the high-pass filter, of course, cuts the lows, right? We build in a tilt filter at the top. That lets you add in either the highs or the lows. And it's got a lot of resonance. I really like this one, it's super funky. And so, if you like, you can let it play solo. So with these little bird sounds. And Enrika, having finished her module in 15 minutes, I think it's as good as any a place to say goodbye. Thank you for watching.
Yeah. Hello, I'm Mangu from Tesseract, and I'm going to talk a little about this joystick controller and looper, which is the module I've been working on lately, and it's going to be released next month. So this joystick has 2 channels of CV and 2 channels of audio. Each channel has a loop time of 120 seconds. And basically here I select the channels, and here I select what the channels do. There are like 6 modes for every channel. So for the CV channels, we have this mode, which is the, let's say, the horizontal axis, and yes, this will be the vertical axis. And if I click, it will be permanent, but if I hold and release, it will go back like momentary. If I keep holding the button, it will be like momentary. So basically, I choose what is going to happen in the CV input 1, actually. And this is the horizontal vertical axis. This is an LFO, where I control the rate and the symmetry, which will go like from saw, triangle to ramp. Here we have this is a Euclidean envelope generator. I have the Euclidean pattern, and here we have the decay, like long decay, very short decay. And this is for the CV input, where I can use also an external CV input, and of course I can also loop it if I want it. So here is it. Whoops. And for the audio channels is a little different. So we have one audio channel here. If I take this one, it will be like a filter. Let's take another waveform. Yes. The horizontal axis will be the cutoff, and the vertical axis will be the resonance. In this mode, for the audio channels, this is a stereo reverb, and this will be the amount and the size of the reverb. Yes, we have also a wave folder here in the LFO mode, controlled by an LFO. And here we have also the Euclidean envelopes with the same concept. This is the pattern, like full of envelopes, less envelopes here, and we have the decay in the vertical axis. And this will be the input, just like without any modification. And also we have the looper. So actually, because we don't have anything triggering the record, if I press the red button, the next clock coming into the module will start recording, and then when I press red again, the next clock will stop the recording and start the playback. Now it's recording, now it's playing, and Also, I can, if I click in idiotic modes, I will be listening to the input. And also, I can over-process the loop. So, for example, for the filter, if I click here, what I'm processing now is the input. But if I press the loop button and the filter button, I am processing with the filter the loop. To clear the loop, just press Shift and clear, and yeah, you have it again here. There are also two extra CV outputs, which are 1 plus 2. So this one is like the sum of both CV channels 1 and 2. So if 1 we have the horizontal axis and 2 we have the vertical axis, in the 1 plus 2, well, in 1 we will have, let's take the sound out a moment, minus 5 volts plus 5 volts. In the CV output 2, minus 5 volts, in fully up plus 2 volts, 5 volts. And here in the 1 plus 2, we have in this corner minus 10 volts, in this other corner plus 10 volts. And the other CV output, which is the difference, an analog difference of these channels. So we will have minus 10 volts here and plus 10 volts in this other corner. And of course, if you have, instead of the vertical and horizontal axis, like let's say an LFO or whatever, well, you will have something related to these outputs, maybe a little unpredictable. And well, that's all. You can also choose to control different parameters, because each of the modes has 8 parameters. So for the filter, let's say, you can have, let me put the sound on again. If I want to control a different parameter with the vertical axis, I click with Shift. Instead of using the resonance, I can use the amp, which is like a VCA, or this one, which is like a mixture between high pass and a low pass. Well, that's it. You can also save presets by clicking on Load, on Save. So the preset will save everything, all the parameters, all the assignations, everything on the joystick, and you have 6 presets to load and recall. That's all, I think.
AVID. I should be talking in English, right? Okay. We are Facundo and Ferran from AVID. Today we are going to present our new application, which is called Pro Tools Sketch. Pro Tools Sketch is a free clip-based music creation app that allows you to capture your musical ideas anywhere. Today we are going to show you how you can use it with a super simple modular system, and help and show you how you can use it to take it to the next level. So the setup that we have today is that Pro Tools Create is sending MIDI clock to our little system so we can be in sync, and we're just going to record whatever sounds we can make with this little machine here. So the app is based on your tracks, which are here on the top, and on each track you can have clips, which you can drag from the clip library, and of course you can record your own sounds, which we are going to show you now. And then you also have your synths, which are a group of related clips that you can use to shape your ideas. So we'll begin by recording our little synth. Huh? Okay. Porque no está el input. We have to first configure our input, of course. And now we can record whatever we get. So now we have our first clip recorded. We can, of course, play it. We can use the built-in audio editor to trim the clip to our desired length. So maybe we recorded something a bit too long, we can make it shorter. And we can now maybe record a variation of this clip. Maybe we can trim it a bit at the beginning because, yeah, so now, again, we use the audio editor to trim the clip to our desired length. So now we have a couple of recordings of our synth, and what we can now do is browse the built-in sample library and drag some drums, for example, to complement our sounds. You can, of course, adjust the gain of your clips, even change the pitch if needed. And besides audio clips, you can also have MIDI clips to drive our two built-in virtual instruments, PlayCell and SynthCell. PlayCell is a sample-based instrument, and SynthCell is a virtual analog instrument, which both of them come with lots of presets, so you can get nice sounds straight from the box. With a MIDI editor, you can manually place notes here, and if we had a MIDI keyboard, we could also record live from the MIDI keyboard. There's lots of built-in samples, and with every release we plan to include new sounds and instruments, effects, so stay tuned for new release. There's lots of editing tools. You can reverse your samples, trim them. You can duplicate a selection, a portion of the clip. You can delete it. You can add fade in and out. We are not going to show today because of the limited time, but if you are recording MIDI with your keyboard, you can also quantize your performance. So if you are not perfectly on time, we have you covered. So let's see how this sounds. So now that we have a little song going on, we can duplicate our scenes and start creating variations of it to start shaping our track, right? Besides being a powerful editing tool, Pro Tools Sketch is also a nice fit for your modular system to play live. Like you can maybe play your modular system, but have the drums coming from Pro Tools Sketch perfectly in sync. So we are just adding a little bit of variation on these clips. And after we have some scenes created that represent the structure of our song, we can drag and drop them into the scene arranger to kind of configure our track. We can program one scene to play after the other. We can even add multipliers to a scene, which means that it's going to repeat several times. And after that, we can just hit play, and we have our track going on. So now that we kind of created our track idea here, what we can do is transfer this into Pro Tools. This very same app, it's also inside Pro Tools. So exactly the thing you created in the iPad, you can open in Pro Tools and continue your editing, mixing, and mastering there. It's as simple as just dragging the file you created into iCloud or Dropbox, for example, and then opening in Pro Tools. Now we have a copy of it prepared here, so we don't have to wait. And once you have your sketch into Pro Tools, you can simply drag and drop clips from the sketch window into the Pro Tools timeline, and the other way around. You can even drag the whole arrangement into Pro Tools, so it's very flexible. Also, I forgot to mention, but you can export your mix down from the iPad app itself, so you can listen to the creation into your car or send it to a friend. And that's pretty much it. I hope you like it. This is Pro Tools Sketch. It's already available for free on the iOS App Store. It's also included in the Pro Tools Intro free offering. And I hope you like it. Stay tuned during the next month for new content, updates, and more feature. Thank you.
Hi everyone. So this is the presentation for Body Synths. This is an instrument that I've been working on for the last year, and it's a new company, and this is the first instrument that I built. It's a percussion synthesizer that basically has like a quite simple architecture, like one oscillator, noise source, one filter, but then it has like different envelopes for different parameters. They are decay only. They can go from quite snappy to a few seconds. And all of the envelopes trigger automatically when you push the trigger or when you use the internal sequencer, which is what I'm going to explain now. The internal sequencer is completely random. So for example, if right now I'm controlling randomly the amount of noise versus oscillator, as you can. Sometimes you hear noise, sometimes you hear an oscillator. So that's this parameter here, like a random step mod. It's kind of a sample and hold. It's just not sampling anything. It's just at every step is holding a random value, and this is more like an attenuator for that. Then the idea basically is that you have like another randomness generator. You have these two randomness generators. The other one is for skipping triggers. This is never skipping. This is always skipping. This is like 50%. And then the idea is basically that this big knob is holding all these random events into repeatable sequences. So if I say 8, it's basically repeating every 8 steps. If you don't like the sequence, you can go to 0, get a new one. And what I'm gonna do now basically is just jam a little bit for a few minutes. Maybe I will explain something later if I have time. But the basic idea is that I'm gonna be using both simultaneously, just to show the different range of sounds, because you can do like melodies, kicks, noise. There's like the digital distortion section, even with a sample rate, like a down sampler, and you can go to audio rates. And basically, that's what I'm gonna do, like kind of a demo mostly. So basically, with this, you can. Yeah, I forgot this. So basically, the one on the left is controlling the clock on the one on the right, and well, I try to show like different, like from melody, kicks, noise. But yeah, as I said before, you can go to like the clock can go very fast, and then you can like find like noisy textures like this, for example. Let's see if I can do something. This is basically the clock. It's basically triggering like many times per second, as you can see here. Combined with like digital distortions. That is kind of the basic idea. So if I trigger now, this is the sound that we are like repeating like very fast, basically. So yeah, it's like the range is quite wide, I think, and the instrument is not finished, but I think it will probably like in 2 months or something like that, hopefully. And I don't know, I'm just gonna, I think I have a minute. We'll try to do something with that. And this is the basic idea. And well, thank you very much for coming and attending the presentation.
As you can see and hear, we're not gonna hear any sounds because I just want to show you the mixer and its layout and functionalities. So let's start saying that it's divided into two main blocks. The first one is the mixing block, and it stops right here. And the other one is the output section. So let's start with the mixing block. The mixing block consists of 4 stereo inputs, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we have an active patch bay with send and return. It's useful if you are playing a big system, so that you can just set your outputs and then direct them to other effects while keeping everything kind of organized. Each one of the 4 stereo inputs has a dedicated stereo VCA, is the V symbol here, and they can be used also with a single mono source that will act on both of the input, or with 2 individual sources to create a pan effect. Then the signal flows to the attenuator and the clickless mute. The clickless mute acts before the VCA, so you can still mute the signal even if another CV is plugged. Each one of the 4 stereo inputs has individual outputs, dual individual outputs, so that I took this inspiration from a Mackie that I had at home, because I found the individual outputs in a mixer really useful. And usually I tend to send this individual out to my audio interface so that I can have individual recordings for each one of the stereo inputs in my modular case. And and they can be used, of course, the 4 stereo inputs can be used also as mono with just a stereo potentiometer, so it can be used with 8 individual signals because you have 8 individual outputs. This kind of summarize the mixing section. The next part is the output, and as you can see, we have a master volume knob. The master knob controls, wait, I'm adjusting a little bit the microphone so I can be closer to the modules. Let me see if it works. It's gonna be a weird moment. Yeah, okay. So the output section has 3 stereo inserts that with 2 of them can be used also as a pre-listen for the dedicated headphones output. So, I mean, you can plug, for example, an SD mix from Befaco. The stereo outputs can go directly into the one of these auxiliary input. And if you want pre-listen something, this comes especially from the DJ world, when you usually pre-listen to something before putting it in your speaker and your final stage. So you can just plug it here and listen to it through your headphones. And when you click this button, it will redirect the auxiliary inputs to your main mix. So you don't have to unpatch the cables to have it in this output. You can input. It can go directly from there just by clicking the switch. Or it's really useful, this feature, for example, if you're playing with drummers or with another musician, you can send him one of the individual output where you have, for example, the kick, and he's gonna hear only to that. And you can still listen to the whole mix through the other headphone driver. So this summarizes the auxiliary inputs layout. And we have also master volume control. The master volume controls affect these 3 outputs. There are balanced mono outputs, LNR, and a combined stereo. The balanced LNR can be used, for example, for your PA, or if you're playing live, you can send them to your audio engineer, and he's gonna deal just with a stereo output. And since they're balanced, they can be used also on stage. The stereo output combines the 2 balanced output, and it's affected by the master volume knob. And usually, for example, it's designed to go to a laptop directly or to your phone if it accepts a stereo microphone output, and also to a recorder. So maybe you are playing live, for example, and you are sending these two balanced mono output to your audio engineer, and the stereo output goes to your recorder, so that you can keep record of your gig live. Then we have the two headphone drivers. As we said before, they have a dedicated pre-listen stereo input that can be routed to the main mix, and they are also with its own output and a dedicated volume knob. If you are worried about maybe the fact that this normalized and not normalized, sorry, these balanced output are not like coming in a standard form, we are actually developing also an expander that will connect to another module that we have these outputs in the standard 6.3 millimeter jack. But even with these outputs, you can just go straight to your phone or use a simple adapter like this one that has a female 6.3 jack connector and a TRS 3.5 millimeter on the other side. So I think that a modular performance mixer should have 3.5 millimeter jacks, but of course we are open to all kinds of configurations. And then coming to the last part, I want to introduce you also Singoli. Singoli is a standalone module, but that can connect to Tutto Sempre on the back thanks to this cable here, to this JST connector. Tutto Sempre can accept up to 2 Singoli, and this means that since it has 7 mono inputs with their dedicated attenuation pot, you can add 14 mono channels to Tutto Sempre. And since they are connected with a ribbon, you can place them in other part of your case and having it useful for you. And the Singoli have a switch on the panel that activate or deactivate the connection, so you don't have actually to go on the back of your modular case to unplug the ribbon if you don't want it to be connected to Tutto Sempre. And has also a dedicated output jack, so it can be used standalone as a 7-channel mixer in 6 HP. The feature maybe that gets more out of the mixing capabilities and adds functionalities in the modular world is the transient detector output. This output here combines the input, all the 7 inputs, and extract a transient CV output that can be used to trigger, for example, a VCA or a compressor and create, in this sense, a side chain for your audio effects. So, yeah, that's it. This is our take on mixing in Eurorack, and I hope that you liked and enjoyed. So, thank you. That's you can put two of the Singoli in a Tutto Sempre on the back, yes. 14 mono inputs and 4 stereo output with 3 auxiliary stereo inputs. So you can have up to 7 stereo inputs and 14 mono input in it. If you, yep. Thank you. There are other questions? No? Yeah.
Hello everyone, I'm Boris with Jonaralogue Audio Design. Brought a system, and I'm just gonna make a little patch based around delay 1, which we're gonna use today to make a bit of a groove or a bass kick kind of thing. And then route 4, which is our newest module, combining 2 step 8s. Yeah, should be fun. I hope it's going to be fun. So to start off, I think we need a bit of a clock. So I'll take a contour 1 in loop mode, use that as a clock, link it, because I'll use it again. Just take the rise output, and that will give me a rhythm. Use that one to trigger step 8, or to step 8. Am I loud enough in the mic when I'm speaking here? Yes, perfect. Okie dokie. So I'll add 2 gate outputs from step 8 to combine the triggers, let's say, and I'll route that through switch 4, so I have control over whether it's there or not, and then use that to trigger a contour, and the output of contour will need it twice. Yeah. So one is gonna go to because we're gonna use delay 1 as a sound source or a sound generator here. So we're gonna do a bit of carpal strong without using the plug input. I'll just use the output of the of contour to give it something to work with at the input, and then use same output of contour 1 to modulate the time or the pitch. And then taking that sound into a mixer. Just gonna connect a couple of mixers together in order to have some more mixing. All right, let's see what this does. What's happening here is we're giving delay 1 a transient, it's delaying it, and then we're using the same envelope to modulate the internal clock. Gives us a bit of a bass kick. Now, because we've got the ring or the feedback on delay 1, we can use it to, with the same module, generate a bit of a groove, or add a baseline, if you will. So we'll take out the scan output from step 8, which is basically the pitch CV generated at each step, and put it into the volt per octave. So now we're not hearing anything because all stays the same here. But if we, for example, this is with damping high damping on in the feedback path. If we use low, can now use, for example, I'm making this up as I go. Use orbit to generate some hi-hats. So we've got our incoming clock. Trigger another envelope. Modulate this to get a bit of more movement in the hi-hats. Yeah. We're gonna use bias 2 here to wait. So we're going to modulate this with a generate 3, because that's what I've got available here. Make it into a unipolar signal using bias. Bias 2, up, full output in here. It's going to go shorter and longer. We can use the last step of step 8, for example, to reset generate. So we get, instead of a phasing rhythm, we get the same rhythm every cycle of step 8. Add in the bass kick. Now going to use route 4 to choose whether the next step 8 gets a trigger or not. Filter. Just use the full output, put it into the filter. Use the scan output of the second step 8 as a volt per octave input for the generate 2. And then every time the second step 8 gets a step, so it's at this point it's opening the clock, and then at this point it's closing the clock again to filter 8. That's why it's stepping, and then it's not stepping, and then it's stepping again. And so should make it more interesting. That one, so every time it steps, we're gonna trigger yet another contour, and then use that contour to open and close a VCA. I need a longer cable. Yeah. And use the same envelope, the inverted one, or the inverted output to modulate the filter. Add the rest in. And we've got a little Jonaralogue groove based on delay 1 mainly, and then yeah, a little subtractive voice and Orbit taking hi-hat duties. Maybe because we've still got a filter available. Can use the same chaotic noise I'm using for the hi-hats from Orbit to make some sort of clap or whatever. So I've got this one still available in step 8, which should give us a clap on the right time. And I just realized I don't have any contour available anymore. So yeah, that's it. So yeah, this is the patch. It's fun. I'll play it once again without the clap. Then imagine a clap. So, yeah, and then one more thing, because I think I've got a minute or two left. Our cables are coming in November. They're not just normal cables. We really engineered this stuff to be equally good for audio and for analog video. So we've optimized the amount of shielding in the cable. This is a bit technical maybe, but we've optimized the amount of shielding in the cable so that there's no crosstalk between cables at audio frequencies, so your audio and your CV are safe. But what usually happens with lots of shielding, which is good for audio, is at higher frequencies. So for analog video, you get with higher capacitance in the cable, you get filtering, which gives a blurry image. So that's solved now in this cable, and they're coming in November. Thank you all for listening, watching, bearing with me.
Okay. Welcome. I'm Jan Willem. Okay. So I should talk like this. Yes. Oh, wait. This thing is going down. So I did not really prepare a talk. So I will improvise a little bit about and talk a bit about my modules. I'm Jan Willem from Ginko Synthese. And this year I did not bring anything really new because I have been working on a compressor for 2.5 years, and that was a bit of a rabbit hole. So the problem with compression is that you can always do it better because it's a matter of taste, and when you start doing it, you change the taste, and then you go further and further and further. So 2.5 years ago, I think 2 years ago, I already presented here my first compressor, and now 2 years later, I'm presenting the same, but then in a new version. So it's, but now I say it's finally completely finished, so I will not change anything anymore, because now I think it's really how it should be, how I think it should sound. I have started the compressor as a Magma. The Magma was a project which I started from scratch as playing with diodes, and then a compressor came out, and then I stepped into the rabbit hole, and that was a quite deep rabbit hole. So now I'm finished and start going on with a new rabbit hole. And the rabbit hole I'm starting in now is basically compression, I think, because my next step is going into distortion and saturation, which is a little bit of the same concept and comes from the same idea. But I like the process of this 2.5 years so much that I want to continue and make it a new module with more controls and more fine-tuning. And the Tefra is my second compressor I made, and from there I will start doing compression and tapes. No compression because I stopped compression now. I will start do distortion and saturation. So I will show you first the result of 2.5 years working on the Magma. The Magma I bring 2 years ago here for the first time, which then became a DIY kit, and that's still available on several places, which is a really nice compressor already, but it's more crunchy. So if you like more crunchy sound, you should find the old one and not the new one, because the new one is really fine-tuned to sound sweet and nice. So I made a little patch with a kick drum, so I will just put on the kick drum and play a little bit with the kick drum at a clap, I think, and then see what it does, what compression does with it. And maybe, I don't know if you listen at home with a headphone or whatever, a good system, because if you listen on the laptop speakers, you will not really hear what it's doing, I think. So be prepared. This is just a simple kick drum, nothing special. I will now add some compression, and let's see how. I did not check it how it sets, but this is now quite aggressive. Well, let's make a longer kick drum. This sounds a little bit more with a long tail, and with compression you can really bring up the tail. So I will put off the compressor, and the tail is gone, and I'll bring it back in. And I put it quite hard on the input, which means that you will have already a little bit distortion, but I like it. I can remove it a bit. So now. So you will hear already the sound of the kick drum is now different than when I put it off. this is original without. And here you really hear the longer tail pushed up. So let's dive in it a little bit deeper and keep this kick drum and try what we can get out of it by just changing some parameters on the compressor. So now it's a feed forward compressor. Let's check feed backward. It sounds more sweeter, and it has a long release, not really long, but it's halfway release. So let's make a shorter release. So you get a little bit more aggressive sound. And the longer release, it's a little bit slower because with a short release, the tail is coming up faster. Now it has a relatively long attack. Now I do a fast attack, you will hear it reacting faster. So here you really hear the transient. The transient is the first part of the kick drum. It's passing through, but really fast. You hear the release of the sustain of the kick drum coming up. Now it has a longer attack, and the transient is more aggressive, you can just hear it better. Now you really hear it pumping. So if I now add a hi-hat, let's see which one let's do. The funny thing with this now is that it sounds like the hi-hats are not constant. If I put off the compressor, the hi-hats are just regular in a straight on rhythm. Let's do it faster like this, and then I put on again. Because the kick drum is really long, the reaction of it now is also longer. So if I change it to a shorter kick drum, now you really hear the hi-hats coming up and down. But this is just the compressor. If I put off the compressor now, it starts like this. And of course I boosted it a bit, so let's do it like this, a little bit less. So you can really play with the sound, how it shapes the overall sound. Now I add a snare. No, it's not a snare. So here the snare is on the background if I put the hi-hat away. And let's see if I can find a clap with a longer attack. Okay, this is the attack clap. So this is a better example. Longer tail. This is without the compressor. With the compressor. Now with a very, very fast attack. And now if I add the kick drum, you really hear it pumping. Now it's like I think it's way too much compressing, but it's a fun way to show what a compressor does. So if I put off the compressor now, it's a total different sound. So I think you can understand the rabbit hole of compression. The compression is when you start to do it, You can get hours of fun just by changing the sound like this. Hey, this is a total different thing. So let's see what happens if I add a little bit of fun. Now I change the kick drum again. I will put this a little bit softer because otherwise you don't hear what I say, I think. So now I just started the jam with an oscillator and some drums. Well, let's see what comes out if I go on with it. So it's okay. It's already 10 minutes. Sorry, I wanted to talk a little bit, but I always lost at what I'm doing. Sorry. So I didn't explain anything. Just talking a bit about my compressor, but it's 10 minutes. I wanted to say something about my modules. I always lose myself when I start playing. That's the rabbit hole of Eurorack. You know that. We all think so. You got lost into very good music. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay, tonight I play. Oh yeah. It will be a bit of this, but maybe a little bit more raw. I will show you later. Thank you. Yes. Ben ik uit?
Okay. So, hi. This is Diego from Befaco. I'm about to introduce our new module we are about to release next month. It's a FX processor, but the idea was to have the FX inside the game cartridges. No? So it's a very famous format of cartridges, usually for gaming, no, for retro gaming, but we are using them for FX, different FX. No, it's a crazy idea, and we found some other crazy people to do it with us. So we are making the FX with 6 more different manufacturers. No, some people will ask, and why you don't put the FX on a SD card or something like this? Well, because many of them are analog FX. It's really a piece of circuit you can change on the fly. No, it's not just a memory with an algorithm you can hold in an SD card or in any memory. It's just part of the module, but you can change it on the fly. It's like having a pedal, but you just connect it, no? And we are very happy because it's a project we did with many different people, because for us it was not meaningful to just design our own cartridge. For us, the idea of this format is to get more people involved, no? And we were very, very lucky of having 6 more brands, 6 more people, like being on the project from the very beginning. No, we have the cartridge of our own, but there is also Instruo involved. There is also Tesseract Modular. There is also Feedback Modules, Towel, Escobar, Xor Electronics, and Making Sound Machines. So it's like in total we are 7 that we are like going with this idea. No, the effects we have are, later I will show a little bit how they sound, but the effects we have are, for now, it's a distortion. No, the trash is like a fuzz style distortion. Then from Instruo we have an analog wave folder. From Making Sound Machines we have an analog wave folder, very aggressive one, very nice sounding. From Xor Electronics, we have the FX Girl, which is a very special cartridge. It's the only digital for now, and it's a delay, and it's also a granulator. We have the Esquara from Towel Escobar. It's his own harsh interpretation of how distortion should sound. We have also a flanger from Feedback Modules, Tesseract Modulars with his very special 2-bit reducer and reed modulator, and Instruo have a very nice sounding phaser. Okay, I can show them right now the units I have from for the flanger and so the flanger, the unit I have, it's not working right now because we are finishing it, but I can show you how they sound the other 6. Here I have a very basic baseline. I will put it in here. It's totally dry, the signal. Very plain, very normal bass, and I will use the FX Girl. Now the Squara, which is the distortion. Very extreme. This is the bit reducer from Tesseract Modular. This is the phaser from Instruo. This is the wave folder from Making Sound Machines. And this is the trash from ourselves. This is a fuzz distortion. We will make more videos later if you want to see more deep explanation on how they sound. You can see our YouTube channel where we will publish all the audio demos. I don't want to get too long on this presentation. And I want to say it's an open format, so we will before we release, which will be the next 18th of October, we will publish all the documentation so people can use the format to make their own cartridges or do whatever they want. There will be also a DIY cartridge, which will be like a proto board for the DIY kits, so people can just build their own. It's all about working together and working with more people, so we expect some more collaborations in the future. The release date is the 18th of October, and the price tag will be 450 tax include euros for the assembled version and 360 for the DIY kit. The module comes with all the cartridges that exist so far included. And yeah, hope you will like it. Thanks.
Other cartridges that come afterwards.
Again?
How do you buy other cartridges that come afterwards?
We don't know what will happen afterwards. So
Really?
we have no idea. It's the classical case thing. You say, let's do this, and nobody stops you. Maybe they should.
Okay.
But no, in Befaco, if we have this problem, no, like, let's do this crazy thing, and somebody's like, yeah. So you get into trouble like this. And a point where you don't know what will happen next. We don't have a plan for what will happen next. The plan is here. We have these 7 cartridges.
And then
We don't know
Elevator
if
Sound
somebody
will
will
have
follow.
Befaco too.
So guys, thank you very much for everyone that is watching the stream. We will be back in about 4 or 5 hours. Check out the schedule on our YouTube page. Thank you very much. Hope to see you again. Enjoy the day, and we want to see you on the concerts. Bye-bye.